Hey YouTube, welcome back to my channel, Taylor Talks Tales. Today I have an exciting book review for you guys. I'm very much excited for this because I finally was able to track down a physical copy of this book, and it just prompted me to want to do a review on it, because one of the things I want to do with this channel is I want to review all types of books, popular books, even mildly popular books, but I also want to promote underrated and underappreciated novels, and I think this one is criminally underappreciated. And that book is December Park by Ronald Malfi. And I'm very excited to have tracked this copy down. It's out of print, it's difficult to find for a reasonable price. I managed to get this for under $20 off of Amazon, and it took forever to get here, but I'm very excited because my goal is to eventually have a library of all my favorite books in physical copies, so I'm very excited to have this. And let's get started on the review. In the quiet suburb of Harding Farms, the weekly crime blotter usually consists of graffiti or the occasional bout of mailbox baseball. But in the fall of 1993, children begin vanishing and one is found dead. Newspapers call him the Piper because he has come to take the children away. But there are darker names for him too. Vowing to stop the Piper's reign of terror, 5 boys take up the search. Their teenage pledge turns into a journey of self-discovery and a journey into the darkness of their own hometown. On the twilight streets of Harding Farms, everyone is a suspect, and any of the boys might be the Piper's next victim. Alright, so this is my first Ronald Malfi book. I've read 4 of his books at this point and want to do sort of a showcase, or at least review all of them, because I've enjoyed every book of his I've read so far. I think he's a solid writer, and this book I still think is my favorite, even though it was the first. Something about this just struck the right chord in me. I have a soft spot for coming-of-age stories, especially if they're set in small town, and books on friendships, and this has all those elements. And I do want to say, don't go into this book thinking it's going to be a horror book. Even though it's marketed as horror, Ronald Malfi identifies as a horror author. I think if you think there's going to be some big bad monster boogeyman creature like in It, you're going to be a little disappointed. But if you go into it thinking it's a thriller with a big mystery element to it and really emphasizes the coming of age aspect and getting to know the characters, because it's very character driven, you really get attached to the 5 boys in this and their families. You know, go into it thinking like that and it'll be really enjoyable. And I think it's unfair to compare this to It or Boy's Life or Summer of Night, those big epic coming of age novels. I'm a huge fan of It and Boy's Life. I actually haven't gotten through Summer of Night yet. There's been so many times I pick it up and then set it back down. At some point I will get through it, but this is definitely different in feel from Boy's Life or It. For one thing, the characters are older. Angelo, also he goes by Angie in the book, he's the main character. You follow him the most. He's the son of a police officer who's on the case to find the Pied Piper, who left a body of a girl. Basically the book opens up with the dead body of a girl, and it's found in December Park, which is sort of a suburban park in the middle of their town, and then things go from there. So you follow Angie and his friends, and they're all roughly about 15, 16 years old. So they're a little bit older than like the characters in It or Boy's Life or Summer of Night, where they're, you know, a little bit younger, like 11, 12, 13. And then this book too also has awesome 90s nostalgia. They definitely mention Nirvana and Alice in Chains and all types of music of the era and events that were going on in 1993. So there's definitely that 90s nostalgia to it, especially because Ronald Malfi did say that this was based off of sort of he didn't, you know, chase down a serial killer, but this is supposed to be sort of autobiographical. He had characters or friends just like the characters in this book, and I think Angie's probably supposed to be a little bit like him, so he really put a lot of personal touches and feels to it, and the town itself is based off of the town he grew up in, so it has that like very cozy feel to it and very like authentic feel. A lot of the landmarks are real landmarks, just with the names changed. And I do think a strength of this book is definitely that sense of place. He does a really good job describing things, and the dialogue is really good too between the boys. It doesn't feel forced, it feels very natural. This is how they talk. This is the slang they would be using. This is the terms that they would be using. And each character is different too. Like very distinct. You don't get the boys mixed up, which is really nice, because sometimes if you introduce too many characters, they start to feel very similar. But you pretty much just focus on the 5 boys and their families. They explore relationships, like Angie and his father. There's a lot of father-son relationship, exploration, and then like brothers and sisters and the friends themselves, because they're very supportive of each other, but they can also tease each other and they get into trouble and they act like teenage boys would. And I do think that's definitely a strength of the novel. It is a bit of a slow burn, so when you go into it, know that it opens up basically with a dead body being discovered, and then it kind of starts going from there. And then originally, one of the reasons why the 5 boys started investigating is one of the boys had found a locket, and he believed it belonged to the girl, and they start thinking, as kids, we are more familiar with a lot of like what's going on with our fellow kids that the adults might not know. And so they start investigating on their own, using a little bit of information that Angie can get from his father to go on that journey. But it's not super fast-paced for the first, I'd even say, half of the book. But once it starts picking up, and especially the last quarter of the book, you're just hooked and you can't put this down. I remember I was like supposed to go to work and I ended up being late to work for my first full-time job, actually, because I started reading this book just right after I graduated college. So I just couldn't put it down. I'm like, oh my god, I have to know what happens. I have to know what happens. And so that's definitely good positive strength of the book. So I highly recommend it. I've actually been wanting to reread it. One of the reasons why I bought it is just I found myself thinking about it the other day and being like, oh yeah, because I love it a lot. And I also enjoyed this book, and they're just very different. So just because it's a coming-of-age story set in a small town featuring a group of friends, it's totally different in feel. And I think, even though I've read other Ronald Malfi books, I think this is just the strongest. Definitely a 5 out of 5 stars. There may be a couple elements that were a little, like, I don't know if that would actually happen that way, but because the novel is so strong in every other aspect, I felt like I was able to forgive the, like, suspend my disbelief on, like, at least a couple of scenes. So, anyway, that's my review for today. Please go check out this book, especially if you can find a physical copy. If not, I'm pretty sure it's on Audible, and I know that you could get it for your Kindle. I'm a big actual physical copy reader. I pretty much use my Kindle to read in the bathtub or at the pool, and audiobooks if I'm going on a really long drive. So I hope that you guys can track down a copy. Amazon does have a few for sale, but they're quite expensive. Maybe you can check eBay, or maybe your local library. My local library, unfortunately, recently got rid of the physical copies, so it's only ebooks that you can check out now, which is so tragic, especially because I had discovered this book because of the library. It was just like tucked away in this like one weird little corner of my local library, and the librarian didn't even know much about it. She was just like, oh yeah, we just got that in, I don't know anything about it, but it has an interesting cover. And I'm like, yeah, I'll just grab it. So glad I did. Criminally underrated. I think more people should check it out. There's way less than 1,000 reviews on Goodreads, so definitely want to promote it. Please check it out. And if you do check it out, let me know your thoughts, if you want me to do a book discussion on it, all that. And yeah, thank you so much for watching my review. I'm also super excited that I'm up to 84 subscribers. Thank you guys so much. I wasn't expecting that many people to follow my channel so quickly, considering this is, day 14 of having the channel. I'm just very, very excited and honored, so thank you so much. And when I get to 100 subscribers, I am going to be doing a little giveaway, so please like, comment, rate, subscribe. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful day. Bye.